Happy Football Friday, everybody. Holy crap, what a game last night. Still just trying to process everything that happened. Holy crap, that just Amazon Prime had to be so freaking thrilled. All the money it spent, and it finally got itself a game of the month, if not freaking year. Whew. As Tampa Motor Mouth here solo right now. Tomorrow we'll be back doing pretty much the same thing with Flying Ryan. So it's always good to rehearse, as they say, and get yourself ready. So, yeah, how about that game? Of course, you had the final Seattle San Francisco Seahawks. Yeah, other universe. I'm going into a whole another realm of existence. The Seattle Seahawks 38, Los Angeles Rams 37. Great start as week 16. It got off to a great start as you just look at both of those teams. It was very, very sluggish the first quarter. You looked at that game. You looked at that game. There's no way that you could have told me that in that first quarter, with how lackadaisical that Seattle Seahawks team was, that that's how the game would have ended up. All the struggles. You're wondering, couldn't get anything done. Boo! There's another field goal from the Rams. Can't get anything done. Boo! There's another field goal from the Rams. And you're like, okay, so that team is going to, but they did. All the 2-point conversion crazes, especially the whole Zach Charbonnet just nonchalantly picking it up. Do 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 do. Oh, it's a 2-point conversion. It's a 2-point conversion. After further review, this is a 2-point conversion, and I'm sure all of us are just like, uh, that bleep is going on here. How was that a what? That was a what? That was a what? What that happened? Now you have the Seattle Seahawks, not the San Francisco Seahawks. That's in another whole different multiverse. But the Seattle Seahawks. Oh man, Sam Darnold rewriting the narrative, because if there's one thing that he learned from last year, I'm sure, with the Minnesota Viking, was that if you're not in control of one's own destiny when it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to the playoffs, you are in for a very rough ride. They weren't, and they were, and they had. And that's why it's so important for the Rams to end up, for the Seahawks to get, well, it's also important for the Rams too, but it's also important for the Seahawks to get that so important first round bye, so you can rest, you can heal, you can remember which team you're talking about. Hey, but yeah, but 38-37, still, what a freaking game, as it is just the players. Just the players. Oh my, just the Rams. If you started Matthew Stafford with a 457 freaking yards. Holy, I melted. I didn't say it, but still. Oh yeah, and three touchdowns, and of course Blake Corum in there. Touchdown, 48 yards. Okay, but holy crap! If you're up there, and I'm in consolation brackets every single league, so it's like it's to the point. Okay, it happened. This sucked. Now it's on to just, well, at least you still get to play, right? I mean, there's that. There is that. It sucks when you, even when you do it for fun, and you don't have any financial investments involved. It still sucks. All the time, the effort, the energy, the drafting, all of the team that I auto drafted, even the auto draft team, even the Josh Allen freaking auto draft team got yoinked. They're out of there. They're into consolation. The only team that's wasn't yoinked already was a consolation, so you don't have to worry about that. That's my former Joe Burrow team, former Daniel Jones team. Are you sensing a trend? Now Kirk Cousins team. Yeah, let me say that again. With a cup of no Joe, which is my former Joe Burrow team, now former Daniel Jones team, and now is my Kirk hey, hey, Cousins team. So yeah. But Puka Puka, he had himself a week, didn't he? Didn't he have himself a week? As the whole reason why I was picking the Seahawks. It's the kind of day, when you need a nap, and after you get the nap, you need another nap after a game like that. Have you been there before? And it's like, yeah, you need a nap. I got the nap. I think I need another nap. But anyway, yeah. How about Puka Puka with the just if because all of a sudden I'm like, how am I up 45 points in one league? What? Ooh, ooh, that's how. So 12 receptions for 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. So if you had to go against Puka and you're in the semifinals, and you're like, all right, well, Thursday night's done. Let's see how I'm doing. And you're like, what in the is going on? Puka scored how much? Right? Anyone remember Alvin Kamara for a couple of years? Right back. The 6 CDs. Yay! That was fun. But yeah. Oh, and oh man, just imagine the manager who had the Stafford Nakuma stack. They're ahead by like 200 effing points by this point. Then on the other side, Sam Darnold. Well, 270 yards, 2 TDs, also 2 INTs, 22 for 34. Then you had Kenneth Walker, 100 yards for with a touchdown in there, and 64 yards receiving. So not too shabby. Probably helped you out, but then at least they got a touchdown. Because early on you're going, where is JSN? Where are you, JSN? Where are you? We need you. We need you. He showed up in the second half, but oh man, just if you were counting on him to go against Nakua, I'm sorry. 96 yards, kept under a buck, but he did get in the end zone, so that salvaged his fantasy day. But just up and down and up and down and up and down, like Jameer Gibbs, right? Like Jameer Gibbs. But still, the insane game is crazy. The Rams got you the better fantasy night. The Seahawks had the better reality night. They won. The Rams helped to light up your league in fantasy, but lost. And the Seahawks won, but not too sexy as far as fantasy goes. And all we can see is where it goes from here. Where does it go from here and now? And now we are going to pick once the stupid picture comes up. We are going to pick the rest of the week 16 games already 1-0. I can't wait for tomorrow. I can't wait for tomorrow to go. Hey Ryan, who did I pick? I picked the Seahawks. Who did you pick? Who did you pick? Not the Seahawks. So, yeah, we're in 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. This guy. Who? This guy. All right. Some of these games kind of not exactly what you would call super sexy. But yeah, we'll start off, of course, with the Eagles and the Commanders, such as is Jaden Daniels, of course, being shut down as Marcus Mariota the rest of the way. Eagles, I don't think they're going to claw through the Commanders quite as badly as they did the Raiders, but I think they still are going to win in a dominant fashion. As you just sort of feel like the Raiders are slowly giving up. Eagles motivated. Hey, maybe it was that positivity bunny rabbit, the positivity rabbit that helped him to hop into shape. Come on, yeah, you're picking the Eagles here. I don't see too much hope for the poor Commanders. Their wrecked year, all the promise. They're, they were so close to almost getting in the Super Bowl last year, and this year the Terry McLaurin holdout, the injuries. Such a sad tale. But I'm going ahead and I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles. Then next, oh boy, we got the Green Bay Packers, and Eagles are minus 6.5 favorites. Oh yeah, and then you got the Green Bay Packers going into Soldier Field. Yeah, I heard it's cold this time of year there. Minus 1.5 favorites. Yeah, somehow that's the Green Bay Packers. You're trying to figure out, huh? Maybe it's just because Vegas isn't buying into the Bears entirely yet. Maybe. But as much as you want to pick the Packers this week, yeah, you still have to pick the Bears. Packers still reeling from the Micah Parsons loss. They've also lost Tucker Kraft. We all had Wyatt gone in that brutal injury earlier in the year. Injury after injury after injury. And the Bears seem to be hitting their stride. And I think Ben Johnson takes his shirt off again, and they get the win. I wouldn't be surprised with the Packers win. I just don't have a lot of trust right now in the Packers after something that brutal happens. Then the next game we've got, well, yeah, really doesn't mean much of anything. Minnesota Vikings going into the Big Apple. Vikings 2.5 favorites. Not a whole lot, but that's because, yeah, Vegas has seen J.J. McCarthy. They've seen the bad J.J. McCarthy as well as the good one, and they know what the bad one looks like. But, yeah, I think you have to go with Minnesota here. Is it going to be Jackson Dart? Is it going to be famous and Jameis behind center for the New York Football Giants? So they've had themselves a rough year. They have had themselves a rough year. And just Malik Neighbors, Cam Scanaboot. Russell Wilson throwing to the crossbar, thinking it's a wide receiver. But yeah, at least they got Jackson Dart as a result of that. Vikings showing a little bit of fight going here late. All of a sudden, a renewed dime back. As long as he doesn't try to pass to Justin Jefferson. You saw that crazy stat with everybody except Justin Jefferson and Jalen Naylor. Wow, 2 touchdowns last week. That's crazy. I think they do something similar here against the Giants. It's just the Giants season is over. It's done. Well, pretty much so is Minnesota. But at least Minnesota has some gumption and some fight left. So I'm picking the Minnesota Vikings here. Then we got the Jets going into NOLA. And all of a sudden, you got Tyler freaking Shuck. The Saints 4.5 favorites. What? How are the Saints? Well, they're also the Jets. And the Saints, it doesn't matter who goes down, doesn't matter who they plug in, who the next man is, they just keep on winning. They stunned the Buccaneers when everyone's saying, well, the Bucs should win this game, right? They stunned the Panthers. Well, the Panthers should win this game. I think it continues, and I think they stun the Jets, and just all of a sudden, the Saints are on a mission to finish strong. Don't know how, don't know why. Good job, and maybe it's enough to keep going more there. We'll see. Then we've got the Buffalo Bills minus 10.5 point favorites going into Cleveland and the away from the comforts of home of Orchard Park for the Bills, and they ride as they came back against the Patriots last week in that very surprise game that all of a sudden looked like Patriots had really off down to get the division crown, but no, here come the Bills and a whole bunch of pass interference penalties. Yeah, you kind of wonder about some of those, but yeah, you've got Myles Garrett chasing that sack title and that sack record. That's his Super Bowl. But yeah, I still think the Bills are going to win, and quite handily, because they have more of an offense, even with all of their no-name receivers, even when we're not sure if Keon Coleman finally seems to be on the straight and narrow. You're picking Josh Allen. I don't think he's going to get 6 touchdowns today, but oh, maybe. You got to pick the Buffalo Bills to circle the wagon and get the win in a very cold and chilly Cleveland. Then we go to the Kansas City Chiefs, dealing without Patrick Mahomes, riding into Tennessee. And somehow the Chiefs are still +3. No, that's because the Tennessee Titans suck that badly. They've been more competitive recently. So it looks like Rasheed Rice has a concussion. He's not going to play. You've got Travis Kelce all the talk about that. Is he going to be there next year? And it's Minshew mania for the rest of the way, Chiefs fans. And while you might have some people have some guts, be crazy enough to go ahead and pick the Tennessee Titans here. Yeah, no, I've seen their fairly abysmal home record, and I think Kansas City, Kansas City hobbles enough together to get a win done here. It's going to be ugly. I don't think it's going to be anything pretty at all, like when I don't get a nap, but let me tell you, or at least not enough naps, I should say. But yeah, we're picking KC just because I do not have the guts to outright pick the Titans with how horrible they've played this year, even though Cam Ward has looked better. Tony Pollard has looked explosive and then suddenly become fantasy relevant. Who would have thought that? But yeah, and of course, DK. But yeah, I still think Kansas City has a better defense and enough of an offense to get through with a very ugly win in a very ugly game. Speaking of ugly games, how about the San Diego Chargers going to the Dallas flippin' Cowboys? And I believe the Chargers are the favorites, 2.5 here. And yeah, let me tell you what, it's just a game of all of a sudden of which quarterback do you trust more right now. CD Lamb, I think, looks good to go for Week 16, but he was dealing with some issues. George Pickens is all of a sudden being George Pickens, going from hot to cold. And we don't know which Dallas the offense is going to show off, the one that was lighting up the scoreboards earlier in the season, or the one that all of a sudden has turned absolutely ice freaking cold. You got O'Marion Hampton back. You have a run game. I don't know where Led McConkey has gone. I don't know where can he be, like underdog, but I still think you're picking the Chargers. They've got their acts more together. I think they're on a mission, and they're just switched on. Plus, you have that callous Dallas Cowboys defense. So yeah, I think it's another ugly game, and there are probably going to be a lot of them going the rest of the way. But you got to pick the Los Angeles Chargers. Then you've got maybe battle for the NFC South Part Uno. Buccaneers going into Sweet Caroline. Buccaneers are the favorites for it in this game. Buccaneers had an injury report with absolutely nobody on it. Let me say that again. Buccaneers injury report came out. Nobody was on it. There was some talk Tetra McMillan might not be able to go, but then all of a sudden looked like he might go. Got to pick the Bucs here. Mike Evans is foaming and chomping after the bit after that Atlanta collapse and utter flipping disaster. McMillan's back. Godwin's coming into his own. The Bucs are actually back to being locked and loaded for the offense. Defense, well, it's the defense, but I think the offense has enough to get things done to get the Bucs one step closer to winning the South. What does that ultimately mean? After that, Who the bleep knows? It's the NFC South. They'll be lucky if they can get to divisional and put in a good showing there. And then everyone was, oh, they were almost to the conference championship game again. Not, but yeah, because the Bucks have the offense. It's just kind of need the defense. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think the Bucks get the job done against the Carolina Panthers and make up for that misstep against the Falcons. Then we've got the Bengals. Speaking of missteps, oh boy, two teams, both with recent missteps of their own. The Bengals getting shut out by the Baltimore Ravens, stomped 24 zilch. Then you had the Dolphins absolutely humiliated by the Pittsburgh Steelers, 28-15 on Monday Night Football. Tua Tagovailoa, yes, the $200+ million Tua Tagovailoa benched for a seventh, eighth rounder, somebody we've never even heard of. I mean, it wasn't even Zach Wilson. I mean, as I joked on the last Sports Shuffle, it had to be something along the lines with Zach Wilson going to Coach McDaniels. Coach, any way that I can go ahead and start next week if you're going to bench Tua? And Coach McDaniels going replied, nope, LOL, I've seen your film. Sorry. Something to that effect. But oh boy, two quarterbacks in bad places, two benched. It's just not working out there in Miami for the poor guy. And yeah, nice kid, nice person, just not exactly what you would call a good NFL quarterback. Joe Burrow having some rough times of his own, not seeming to have fun uh, in Bengal land anymore. In Cincinnati, there's even billboard. Someone had a billboard, Fire Taylor, I forget what the other name was, and then Save Burrow. So I'm sure the other name was the GM, who I can't remember, but I'm sure a lot of fans don't want to remember what their name is either. But oh boy, this one is a kind of a rough one. You try to figure out which one to pick, and I think I ended up going for the Bengals. I think I went for the Bengals, and I think the Bengals were the favorites. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about this, but yeah, just because you have Burrow, Jamar Chase didn't spin on anybody this week. T. Higgins has not got a concussion yet, so he's good to go. And all of a sudden, when you have Joe Burrow with his two weapons, you've got to pick the Bengals because they are ready to lock and load. And I don't know how you trust the Dolphins with Airworth. Airworth is, I think, his name. The new guy, to see if he's Max Brosmer or better. But yeah, if it was Tua, I might choose the Dolphins. But when it's some no-name red shirt that you've never heard of before, that you have no idea what to expect from, you're picking the Bengals. You don't blink, you don't think, you pick the Bengals. Then you actually have a sexy good game. I think this was the game that was flexed out of the Sunday night game. Jaguars and Broncos. Broncos, of course, the favorites. And oh man, Trevor Lawrence. If you started him in fantasy last week, I commend you. I was thinking of starting him for just a little while. Then I chickened out and I put Drake May back in, and I lost because I didn't put Trevor Lawrence in there because he had an insane game. Don't think he has that type of game here, not against the Denver Broncos. I'm sorry. Denver Broncos are getting better as an offense. They have the defense to back it up. And they are unbeaten at home this year. I don't see it changing this week. -3 Broncos. I think it's a hell of a good game. It's one of the better games of the day. There's some of these other dumpster fires, but yeah, you got to pick the Broncos. I'm sorry, got to pick the Broncos. Don't blink, don't think. Pick the Broncos, and I'm sorry, Jags, but Trevor Lawrence is not going to do that against the Denver Broncos. Not happening. Then the next game, you got the Lion Falcons, the Battle of the Birds, going into Arizona. Falcons -2.5 favorites. I think I saw something Drake London is expected to play, which is very good. Not sure about Kyle Pitts, however. this week with his 3 touchdown day that probably caused many fits in many fantasy leagues everywhere. You got to pick the Falcons. I mean, they got Bijan. You have Kirk Cousins, who's getting better. And yeah, just the Cardinals are just one of those teams that seem to have totally given up and checked out. I think I saw something Marvin Harrison Jr. says he's going to go. We'll see if he plays, which is of course bad news for Michael Wilson owners because that means he's not going to have as much of the share as he normally has. So there's that. But yeah, you got to pick the Falcons. I don't see how you have any confidence at all in the Cardinals. Zilch show. Then, of course, you have the Houston Texans welcoming in the Raiders to be sacrificed, and the Houston Texans are 14.5 favorites. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Yeah, you got to pick the Texans. I mean, well, there could be a possibility of a trap game here. I know it's the Raiders; they suck. We'll see if they get over 75 total yards or not, because their offense is absolutely completely horrid. You're picking the Broncos. Other team, you're picking the Texans. Don't blink, don't think. It's the Houston Texans just because the Raiders are absolute trash. And this game's kind of sexy. You got the Steelers going into Ford Field minus 6.5 favorites for the Lions. Yeah, that's just because Vegas really isn't buying the Steelers offense. They're not playing the Dolphins again. Even though you might give the edge to the Steelers for the defense, I think you've got to go the Detroit Lions here. They know their season is literally teetering on a precipice right now, and they need to do something, and they need to do it right freaking now. If they have any talk about going into the postseason, you got to pick the Lions. They have the better offense. You've got Sun God, Jameer Gibbs. You've got David Montgomery. You've got J-Mo. You got everybody. You don't have Sam Laporta. He's done for the year, but of course that happened a couple weeks ago. But yeah, you just have to pick the Detroit Lions. They are on a mission, and they know they cannot lose by any stretch of the imagination here. And then you're going to the last 2 games. Of course, we'll start with the Patriots and Baltimore Ravens because that's the Sunday night game that was flex. Oh yeah, Baltimore Ravens 2.5 favorites. Yeah, Patriots coming into Baltimore, and I know you can make the arguments for King Henry, for Lamar Jackson. You have 2 unbelievable weapons of running back destruction there. But you just have the Patriots come in. Their eyes are still are getting that crown. They want that crown that was denied them last week by the Buffalo Bills. They're coming in on a freaking mission. They are ready. They are locked. And they are loaded. Hopefully not too loaded, if you know what I mean. But in all sincerity, in all seriousness, they are ready. And I know that the Bills, but you have two running backs, two King Henry, the one since Lamar Jackson is not quite back to full strength yet, still dealing with that toe. That's got to be there and got to linger for a while. Meanwhile, on the Patriots side, you got Ramondre Stevenson and Trevion Flippin Henderson, who is setting legit rookie numbers that the Patriots franchise hasn't seen in recent days. That freaking good. Got to pick the Patriots. I think they have hat and t-shirt day after they just make the Ravens even sadder. And then the last game of the week, you got the San Francisco 49ers going into Indianapolis Colts, and I don't even think Grandpa Rivers can save them. Makes for an interesting storyline. Generate some more eyeballs, but San Francisco just keeps on doing it. And how about that whole crazy Brandon Ayuk situation? Initially, it was guaranteed money that was negated and canceled. Now his whole flipping contract is canceled, and he's not on the team anymore list. I didn't even realize there was a list like that. There's a list like that, yeah. But it doesn't matter. San Francisco 49ers keep on marching. Doesn't matter who they have or who they haven't. And yeah, San Francisco 49ers are, not surprisingly, 6.5 favorites. They had the Steelers and the Lions. Lions 6.5 favorites. You had the San Francisco 49ers 6.5 favorites. And somehow Baltimore Ravens 2.5 favorites. Yeah, you're picking the 49ers. I don't see how you have that much hope in Grandpa Rivers going against a 49ers team just with the smoke and mirrors, and somehow they've gotten to double digits to rule atop their conference, to dominate again, to have maybe the promised land in their sight off in the distance. Maybe they can get back. Just maybe just one more time and get the job done. I'm picking the Niners. And so for the last three games, picking the Lions, picking Niners, and picking the Patriots to get the division. So there you go. Just a quick run through as we recap everything here. The quick style, of course, 1-0 after picking the Seahawks. Hey, I got to celebrate something when all my teams in fantasy go to consolation. And, of course, pick Seahawks. Then we are, of course, picking Eagles, Bears, Vikings, Saints, Bills, Chiefs, because I don't have the guts to pick the Titans, Chargers, Buccos. Let's go, Bucks. Let's go, Bucks. Picking the Bengals over whoever this new guy is for the Dolphins. That's going to be fun. Picking the Broncos to keep their home record intact. Picking I'm not picking the Cardinals. I'm picking the Falcons. I'm picking the Texans. I'm picking the Lions, the Niners, and of course, the New England flippin' Patriots. And my final thought for this short sports Tampa Motormouth sports shuffle, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, just come on, Bucks. Come on, Bucks. That's my final thought. Come on, Bucks. Don't blow this. You blew the Falcon game in a spectacular freaking fashion. Get the job done on Sunday. You gotta. You gotta. And that's my final thought. I will be back mañana with of course with flying as we do talk the Thursday night football game. We do our joint picks. I bet we may have one or two disagreements, but most will probably agree with, just because it's that kind of a slate, that kind of an ugly, fugly slate. And if you're going anywhere, if you're traveling anywhere, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, safe travels as you go. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. And I'm Tampa Motormouth, Joel Verlin.